Welcome. This is Mr. Business. As you can see, I've had plenty of ramen today and I'm ready to teach you some business. Today is a great lesson. We're going to have a good episode today, and we're going to talk about one of my most favorite topics. Well, so many of my topics are favorites, though. There's so many good things to talk about in business. Alright, we're going to talk about business ethics. Now, it's really funny because we're one of the few areas in the world where we have to have whole courses just on ethics because of how easily people become corrupted by the monies. And they bow to the monies. But they don't realize if you're doing ethics correctly, you're going to make more money in the long run. Okay? So, first let's break this down. Ethics. Ethics is a code of action. This is one of the biggest things I always tell people about business ethics. Okay? Unless I actually see what your business is doing, I don't care if they say, oh, we support the environment. No, what are you actually doing to support the environment? Do you have biodegradable products? Does a certain amount of your money go to reseeding forests or whatever? What's actually being done? Okay? It isn't what you think, it's what you do. That's what business ethics comes down to. And when we look at business ethics, there's a couple theories to look over. And today we're going to look over one important theory, okay? We're going to look over this theory right here. Okay, shareholder theory, okay? We want to know who are the shareholders, okay? Who actually has control and who matters in the company? Well, number one is going to be the owner, okay? The owner is number one. Or owners if you have stockholders. They're going to be the people who are going to have the most control. After that, you're going to have management. Okay? Management. And you're going to have workers after that, or employees. Okay? If you notice, all of this is internal. Internal is where the strongest forces take place as far as what a company should do. However, companies that are short-sighted and don't understand how the outside world affects them don't do well overall. Okay, so who else would be a shareholder on the outside? This is all internal here. Okay, we're going to put a big internal. Internal means inside. Who would be outside? Okay, who would be external? Okay, external. Who would be there? Well, you're going to have the governments, okay, based on where you are. You're going to have your customers. You're going to have, who else? You have government, you have customers, you have society at large. People aren't even a part of you, but you're part of them in a degree because you're in their society. Okay? People, or I should say, the people have to speak up for this one. It's the environment. And you have all these externals. And it's interesting because if the company doesn't pay attention to these externals, they're not going to do well. Because all these externals lead to something that's very important. Okay? They lead to this. A giant, what we call social trust. And it's hard for a company to really pay attention to this sometimes because it's not easy to understand where you are at with the social trust. Every time you keep your promises and do what you should be doing, your social trust goes up. People believe in you. But if you're always short-sighted and finding ways to basically do shady business, your social trust goes down, and at some point it goes to a point where it's no longer repairable. You can't go up anymore. It's the breaking point, okay? So we look at these, and this is all done with promises. So for example, if I have a mining company, okay, part of the promise they make usually is to restore the land after they're done, okay? And if they don't, not only do they pay for it legally, because it's usually written down, They pay for it as far as people's belief in them, okay, and them getting future contracts and stuff like that. And also customers, okay, in a lot of companies, customers are directly related to you. I hope they are, all right? And if they're aware of you breaking promises, it's going to cost you in the long run. The biggest problem we have are when it doesn't cost companies. Then companies start making bad decisions for society. So let me show you what a bad decision looks like. And they'll always do this, okay? Let's say I have a shady business deal, and I can make $10 billion doing it. Okay, there's $10 billion. And let's say the cost if I get caught is minus $7 billion. Well, if I'm a rational company, I'm going to take 10 minus 7. See, I have $3 billion here. And if I don't get caught, I get $10 billion. Either way, on the short run, I win. Okay? And this is why businesses do a lot of shady stuff. This is a calculation they run. Banks are very notorious for doing this, and they will get fined lots of money, okay? Banks will often do things like this. And then what will happen is they will look at the fines, and they'll look at the profit they made, and it looks just like this scenario. How do we stop this in business and society? This is bad. This is not good for us. This is not good for them long term, because then it sets a trend for behavior and they keep doing it. How do we stop these scenarios from happening? Well, what if it was instead of a $7 billion, what if it was $17 billion? Okay? One way we can stop this stuff from happening is to actually have real punishments. So it's not worth it to them anymore. I mean, if it's $17 billion, then instead of being $3 billion on this side, what's it going to be? Well, it's going to be negative $7 billion, okay? And if you're a company, you don't want to risk things that you don't have to. All right, so that's one way. The other way, and this is going back to what we were talking about earlier, all comes down to really using the social trust we have, okay? And making companies more accountable. And making sure people know when companies are not doing what they should be doing. So, and this is also, the thing that's interesting, this is more of a long-term thing, because the equation I was showing you before is short-term, okay? But in the long term, if people just decide not to go with your business because of the issues they have seen, and because you can't see it because it's long-term and there's no way to really account or track for it of all these lost customers in the future, and it was negative $10 billion overall, okay, then we'd have less people doing it. The problem is a lot of corporations are run by stock price. They just need to get their stock price high for that quarter. So part of it, when we look at making companies act better and work better, is to have stockholders more aware of long-term profits, okay? And having CEOs be empowered to do those things. All right. So, with that being said, here are some good questions about ethics. And we're going to do several episodes on ethics. There's a lot of different theories to cover. You got the base of it, this one. This one was shareholders, okay? Shareholders, we'll do a quick recap. You got shareholders. Here's our recap. You have internal, okay? And those would be your owners, management, employee. And then you have external. Those would be society at large, okay? So this would be all within the company. This would be society. And then we talked about the social trust. The social trust is sort of like an imaginary bank account. That's all it has to do with public perception of your company and how we interact with you. And then lastly, we talked about the equation where people decide that no matter what, it's more profitable to do that, but that's all short-term thinking. Okay? So we're going to have short term versus long term. And if we can really make an impact on these people so they understand more the long term, we'll have less of these short-term, short-sighted decisions made in business. All right. So here are the questions. All right, so here are the questions. What does the social trust mean to you? When have you seen a company break the social trust? Okay? Just think about that. Think about all the scandals that you've seen with companies. Think about what it means to be able to have trust in a company and how that affects your ability to buy and support that company. And then think about when you have seen a company break that social trust and what's done to you and what has happened overall with that company since that break in the social trust. All right, so remember, this is Mr. Business. Stay ethical. Business needs it. And if you got 5 minutes, you can always learn business. Take care, everyone.